Lions, welcome back to the channel, and we're going to be talking about the lady who refused to go into the Cheesecake Factory. Unless you've been under a rock for the past week or so, there's been a video circulating around about a very narcissistic woman who was on a date with someone. It was their first date, and she refused to go into the Cheesecake Factory. She said, as a matter of fact, it was embarrassing for her to be seen even walking into the Cheesecake Factory because of who she was and the way she looks. So we're going to take a look at this video. We're going to break it down as we go through the different parts. And then at the end, I'm going to give you my final thoughts and my final takes on what the issue is here. This is the epitome of what's wrong with modern women today. And I'm so glad that this video came out because there are a lot of people out there that don't think it's as bad as a lot of men say that it is. They think that they're capping. They think that there's something wrong with the men. You see in this video that the guy that she's out with, there's nothing wrong with this individual. He has it looks like an adequate, reliable vehicle from what we can see from the inside. He's a nice person, he's dressed normal, casual. The way he speaks is normal. So there's nothing wrong with this guy. And he's a normal guy, average looking guy, normal everyday guy. And he seems to be very genuine and very sincere. And this is the treatment that he got from this woman who don't know him. This is their first date, mind you. And usually when people go on their first dates are like interviews for jobs. When you go for a job interview or where someone interviews for a job, you're getting the best version of that person because they really want the job. So a first date, you usually see the best version of the man and the best version of the woman. But on this date, you see who she is exactly. She's not trying to impress this guy. She's not putting on a mask, which is good, because he was able to see her for who she was right out the gate. She comes in showing exactly who she is. So let's go to the video. Let's take a look at it, and then we'll start to break this thing down.
Okay, almost there. Just need to find some parking. Okay. Yeah.
Let me stop it right there and come in. This right here shows how narcissistic and self-centered she is. So she has the camera on right now, and she is actually taping and video recording and streaming what's going on in the car. She turns it on, and she's smiling. She's constantly running her hands through her hair, striking, going up and down them braids. That's not hers, by the way. It's weave, which I don't care about, and that's a whole different video for a whole different day, whatever. But she's constantly massaging that weave. She's streaming, and she's smiling to the phone, and she's saying, "Hi, y'all." This is classic narcissistic, self-centered behavior. And let me make something very clear. I'm not the type of person that throws narcissistic around. Women throw this around all the time. If you talk to them, all their exes were narcissists. But an attribute of being narcissistic is having an overinflated ego or overinflated self-importance. And this is what she has. So she turns it on. She's video filming, and she's smiling. She's constantly stroking her braids, and she says hi y'all into her phone here, like she has a live audience of millions and millions of people watching what she's doing. So I wanted to point that out there. So the first thing we acknowledge by this action is that she's a very self-centered and narcissistic individual. Like a lot of women today. She's not alone in this. I'm just pointing it out. So let's get back to it.
Cheesecake Factory. You didn't?
Nothing. I'm just talking to my girls.
Okay. Tell them I said hi.
Yeah.
So you see the attitude coming out. She mumbles under her breath Cheesecake Factory for the video recording purposes on her phone. He asks her what she said. She says, I'm just talking to my girls. Again, this is showing her self-centered, narcissistic personality. She thinks everything is all about her. And she's very disrespectful as well. And she's giving him little side... you can look at the body language and the mumbling under the breath. This is just a it's a tip of the iceberg and a prelude to what's to come and what kind of person and the type of individual he has sitting next to him in his car. So let's keep going.
Woo.
Let me just get the door for you.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. He's going around to get the door. I wouldn't have did that. I'm just gonna keep it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would not have opened the door for her. So he's a better gentleman than I am.
He got me at the Cheesecake Factory, y'all. You're not this far. Yes.
Would you want me to open the door for you?
Look.
Are you're recording me?
Yeah. This is the Cheesecake Factory. This is the Cheesecake Factory, y'all.
What's the problem with that?
This is a chain restaurant. Who takes someone that looks like this to a chain restaurant?
You want to talk?
All right, let me stop it here. I'm only going to bring this up because she did. She said, number one, she talked about chain restaurants. I, for one, like some chain restaurants. I'm not a big Cheesecake Factory guy, but I do like some chain restaurants. Olive Garden being one. I like the Olive Garden, and I would take a date to the Olive Garden. And if a date turned up her nose that I was taking her to the Olive Garden, then she's got to go. Another chain restaurant that I like is P.F. Chang's, as well as some steakhouses. So I don't have an issue with chain restaurants. It's just certain ones I like, certain ones I really don't like. Like, I don't like Applebee's. I think that's a terrible chain restaurant. I don't like Friendly's particularly. So there's a lot of chain restaurants I don't like, but there are some that I do like. But the fact that she thinks she's too good to go to one is very alarming. And I wasn't going to take it here, but she took it there. She said, you don't take someone that looks like her to the Cheesecake Factory or to a chain restaurant. I really don't know what we're supposed to be seeing when we look at her. This goes to her having a overinflated ego, being self-centered, and being narcissistic. She obviously sees something different when she looks in the mirror than what the world sees. And that's a part of being self-centered and narcissistic. Having an overinflated sense of self-worth and importance. So she thinks the way she looks warrants her not to go to a chain restaurant. He obviously did not feel that way. And the men who look at her don't feel that way. So she has a delusional mindset of how she looks and what she deserves. And I usually would not talk about someone in this fashion, but she went there. So I went there. So let's go back to the video.
Talk about it? I'm fine with talking about it, even in front of them.
Oh, yeah, I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Come on, get up on in the car. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Oh, okay.
Okay. So,
yes, let's talk about it. About it.
So you expect a man to go all out on the first date. Is that right?
I mean, you're supposed to. Look at,
When you take out a beautiful woman and you're courting her, because I get courted. So you're courting her, right? You're supposed to take care of her. You're supposed to cover her. You're supposed to protect.
Notice that she is talking into the camera. So she's not looking at her date. She's not making eye contact. That shows a complete and utter lack of respect. Whenever you talk to someone and you have a conversation with them, you look them in their eye when you are able to, depending on the circumstances. She is sitting right next to him. Her head, because she's doing all this movement and she keeps rubbing her braids, she should have whipped her head around to the left, faced him, made eye contact, and then had the conversation that way. That would have demonstrated that she at least respect him. The fact that he took her to the Cheesecake Factory, she has zero respect for this man at this point. She's not even facing him when she's talking about him. She's looking into her phone. I want to tell you something about cell phones and social media. This is becoming and has become the new boyfriend for the modern day woman. Where men used to give her attention, a woman attention, a man used to give a woman validation. She now gets this from social media, guys. This is where she gets her attention from. This is where she gets her validation from. That's why she's more concerned about what she's streaming on her phone and why she's facing her phone. Because she has more respect for her social media following than she does for the man that's sitting next to her in his own car. That's why if you look at a lot of different videos and a lot of different podcasts, these women don't want to give up their social media accounts. It's like crack to them. They're addicted to it. She has more respect for her followers and for her streaming than she does for the man that's sitting next to her. But that's going to change towards the end of the video. So let's go back to it.
Protect her, cherish her, treat her well, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do.
I agree. I went into this date as I expect, with the expectations for myself, to keep you safe, you know, to respect you, to pay for your food, of course, pick you up, of course, and just treat you like a gentleman, which I believe I have done.
I mean, you've been pretty nice, but I mean,
and then
Cheesecake Factory.
I, on the other hand, have certain expectations for a girl I go out with on the first date.
She's really annoying. Like, she keeps looking into that camera. She keeps cheesing into that camera. And it's just, I know I keep harping on this, but there's so many red flags here. The fact that she will record, the fact that she locked him out of his own car and refused to leave, the fact that she won't make eye contact with him, the fact she won't talk to him, she keeps talking to her viewers, the 10, 11, 12 viewers that's watching her stream. It just reeks of her entitlement, her self-centeredness, and her narcissism. It just reeks of it. And the fact that he's able to stand there and still be calm and deliver his speech the way he's going about it is a superpower. Because I think most guys would have blew up at this point.
I expect her to be respectful too. I expect her to be cooperative, and at least, you know.
What did I do that wasn't cooperative?
Well, I mean, like, even like when we were walking to the car, you wouldn't put your hand around my arm or anything like that, or hold my hand or anything like that.
I mean, it's too early for that.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
don't know
and
you.
I
Yeah.
can respect that. I can respect that.
Okay.
When I got to your apartment to pick you up, you didn't want to invite me in. I can respect that too. We're not
Again,
maybe
I don't
we're
know
not there.
you yet.
Okay.
I don't know you yet.
And then, but
I mean, I feel like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do as a woman.
But
I got myself all made
There's nothing
up.
wrong with the Cheesecake Factory, right?
Yes, there's a lot wrong with the Cheesecake Factory.
Okay, well look at
I mean,
my planner, where we were gonna go originally.
see, now that's where That's where we should have went. All right, right there. Call him.
See,
Call him.
no.
What do you mean no?
See,
She's extremely masculine. This was a disaster from the beginning. If you look at his demeanor and look at her demeanor, they are clearly not a match. She is extremely masculine. This is the problem with a lot of these women. They put on makeup, they put on dress, they have boobs, they have, hips, they have all the stuff that a woman should have, but their psychological and their emotional state is completely masculine. She would run all over this guy, and even when he tried to put his foot down, it would be an issue. Usually women like her that have this kind of tough masculine persona, they generally need men who are extremely strong-willed, and if push came to shove, they would put their hands on you. And that's just the truth. There are a lot of women out here. Now, I'm not talking about her with what I'm about to say, but there are a lot of attractive women out here who are attractive to look at, but they're extremely masculine. And the only guys they can be with is a guy who is extremely strong-willed and someone whose buttons they can't push. Because if they went too far, there would be an issue. I'm going to, and you can look at this and see a lot of examples. One of the examples is Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj, when you look at her, she has all the body parts of a woman. And obviously she is a woman. But look at her husband. When you look at these women who are masculine, strong-minded, look at the men that they end up with. They end up with men who are extremely strong-willed because the men have to be, because the women are so masculine. So the relationships are completely off balance. This is why a lot of women say, well, you two, I need a strong man to handle me. Like, you're not strong enough to handle a independent, blah, 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 fill in the blanks. It's not that men are not strong enough. Men are strong enough, but men are strong enough to handle feminine women. The type of guy that it takes to handle a masculine, strong-willed woman, a lot of times these guys are what women would say toxic. Because you can't backtalk them, you can't push their buttons, and if you ever put your hands on them, you'll be waking up the next day in the emergency room. So they call these guys toxic, but these are the only guys that can deal with them because they are so masculine. So it takes a man of that caliber to even deal with them because they won't listen to a normal masculine man, which he appears to be. He appears to be a normal masculine man. She would never listen to someone like that. You can see in their interaction how her energy is.
I specifically told you both yesterday and this morning that I'd come to pick you up at 4 p.m. Right? And I got to your place at 4 p.m. You didn't even come downstairs for another hour, and so I was waiting downstairs for an hour. Right?
But I wasn't expecting for work to take me.
She was an hour late, everybody. So he came there to pick her up at 4. And she was over an hour late. And based on what he's saying and what she's saying, admitting to, he sat in the car for an hour waiting for her to get done work. So this makes sense at the beginning of the video when he said, you didn't invite me in. Because he was sitting out in the car for an hour waiting for her. And she said, I didn't expect work to run. She just blew by the fact that he was out there for an hour. And she just said, I didn't expect work to run over. She's not apologetic. She's not sorry. She's not apologizing. She's just saying, I didn't expect work to run over. Again, this is pointed back to her being self-centered and entitled.
So long. I got home a little late. And like I said, I don't know you well enough to invite you up into my apartment.
And
that is not possible.
And that's why I'm saying I'm thinking, okay, if we're not there in the relationship to, meet at your apartment, then maybe we're not ready in a relationship for such a nice, fancy restaurant as Aria. Especially if I'm paying for the whole thing, which I'm still willing to do. I would have been.
Okay.
But if we're late, I told you twice.
Late. It wasn't that late.
We literally left your place at the time the reservation was supposed to be. And I specifically said 4 because maybe we could get there early and even have some time to get to know each other on the way there and while we're in the parking lot. I'm waiting for a reservation.
We can still get to know each other. Isn't there another restaurant you can call that, equivalent to that? I literally you don't understand. Look at me. I cannot go in the Cheesecake Factory.
There's nothing wrong
I will die. That's embarrassing.
Listen, as I said, I have very specific certain expectations for dating.
No.
I can tell it's not gonna be there. And maybe we're not right for each other.
She literally just insulted every woman who's ever gone to the Cheesecake Factory, whether it's a fiance, whether it's a wife, mom, grandmom. She literally said she can't go to the Cheesecake Factory. It would be embarrassing. She literally insulted every woman that's ever gone to the Cheesecake Factory. And when someone has this kind of attitude and this kind of ego, you would expect a Margot Robbie or a Scarlett Johansson type appearance. And that's not what we're getting here. This points to a bigger problem with dating today, which I'm going to do at the end of this video when I do the wrap up. Because this points to something greater that most men are dealing with when it comes to dating and relationships today.
So, respectfully, I'm going to just drop you off at home.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Yeah, I'm up.
So, you just want to call it a night? Isn't there some kind of compromise or something? Ladies, can you believe this?
I'm sorry, y'all.
Again, ladies, can you believe this? Talking to her phone. That's her priority. And you can tell that the man was offended. That's why he's taking her home. She offended him.
If I don't feel respected, I am not gonna go through with the rest of the day.
Well, you are serious. You're really leaving.
Yeah. You didn't want this place anyway, right?
I understand that I was late. I understand that. I understand that I could have been a bit more cooperative. You made some good points. That's why I'm willing to compromise. Are you sure you want to go home?
I don't have a lot of rules. I don't have a lot of expectations for a first date, but I've already set them, and you've broken every one.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. We're dropping you off home.
All right, whatever. Well, I guess I understand. You gotta do what you gotta do.
All right. You can see at the end, the gentleman said that he has standards. She broke them all, and now he's dropping her off. Once he said he was dropping her off, you can see that her demeanor quickly changed. She started apologizing now, finally. She started saying, you have a point. She started saying sorry. She started saying, well, can we go somewhere else? She started to try to compromise because she knows that this man now is no longer putting up with her ish. Guys, always remember that a woman needs to respect you. If a woman doesn't respect you, you can forget about any kind of relationship. She disrespected this man the moment she got into his vehicle. And it wasn't until the end when he said, "This is enough. This is my boundary. This is my line, and you crossed it. There will be no date." It is not until then she started to respect him. This goes for a woman like her. This goes for a woman who's nicer than her. This goes for a woman in the church. You must have boundaries and standards that you will not allow a woman to breach. You will not allow a woman to cross. That is the only way a woman will ever respect you. What we are seeing here is an average looking woman. Average at best, to quote Kevin Samuels. And she has a "I'm a 10" complex, like most modern average women today. You ask them what they are, where they rank, they're all great, they're all magnificent, and they're average looking. This is her. She's the epitome of it. She's an average looking woman, but she's too good to go into the Cheesecake Factory. Since when? Since when have average looking women been too good to go into a chain restaurant? You can't make this stuff up. Average women have become extremely self-centered and narcissistic. I'm not saying they're all narcissists, because in order to be a narcissist, you have to exhibit, I think it's 5 out of the 7 personality traits. But an overinflated ego and self-importance is what most modern women, I would argue, suffer from today. He's dropping her off. Her attitude changed real quick. As rude and as nasty as this woman was in this video is actually a blessing in disguise. Because had they somehow, by some miracle, got past the first date and proceeded to get into a relationship, it would have been a disaster and all downhill from there. Trust me, this guy dodged a bullet. Not even a bullet. This guy dodged a freight train that would have been coming his way. So guys, look. He had a planner. He was going to actually take her to a better and a more fancy restaurant. I'm glad he didn't. Had he had done that, had she had been on time, he would have just wasted his money. I don't know what restaurant he would have took her to, but let's just say he would have blew $150 to $200 on that type of individual, which he would have regretted, no doubt. So let me say this before I close out. I actually think a chain restaurant is a good idea. If you meet a girl, first date, take her to a chain restaurant. See how she acts. See if she responds like her. See if she says she's too good for that. See if she starts to disrespect you. Because that would give you insight to the type of person that she truly is. So I actually think going to the Cheesecake Factory or going to grab coffee or something like that is actually a great first date to take someone, because it gives you insight to who they are. Now, this girl did a follow-up video. She's on an apology tour now to try to get, because she got a lot of backlash. So she's on an apology tour to try to get people back on her side, her followers, you know, whoever she was talking to on that phone. And I will do a video on that because I actually don't think that's going over so well for her. So this guy dodged a bullet. Men, be very careful out there when you date these women. I would say take them to a chain restaurant to see if you have one of these sitting in your car and save yourself the $200. Talk to you soon. All right, we're out.